And welcome back, everyone. I am indeed here in the studio, in the foyer, as it were. And today I am back here with Michelle Chalice. Michelle has you have a thing coming up at the Keene Public Library for your business, right?
I do.
But we want to talk about the event, but I also want to find out what actually what is it that you do? So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave. Well, my name is Michelle Chalice, and I have a company called Healthy Home Habitats, and I help people design and create home landscapes that are healthier, that are more efficient, and that are more ecologically friendly. So I do that here in the Monadnock region, and it's wonderful.
Nice. So when you say landscapes, are you talking about landscaping for people's homes?
Home landscapes, yes, just residentials. My dream is to have more people have their hands in the soil, but in general, people have very particular goals. They'd like to be spending less time doing the work of maintaining a landscape, and there are ways to do that that are also ecologically healthy. So it's a great way to have conversations and go through design processes to see what types of aesthetics people really appreciate having at their own home to represent themselves in a neighborhood.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've been the subject of some of these discussions. I've been told to lose the imperial lawn. I'm on about an acre.
Oh my goodness.
It's mostly lawn, and
Yeah.
people have said, stop doing that, Dave. And so I would be a candidate for something more manageable, something better.
Yeah. Well, there are lots of options. There are quite a few options.
Interesting. And who tends to be the client for such a thing? Is this for anybody, or are these bigger spaces, or who's more interested in this?
It's interesting, David. It is actually anyone. I have dealt with families who are looking for smaller projects that they can do with their children to grow food at home, because not everybody has the time to manage a huge garden down on the ground.
Right.
I get to work with a lot of retired professionals who have more time on their hands and would like to have a type of landscape at home that they can feel better about. They understand our context in the world right now and the ecological challenges that we face, and they have a little bit of time to be able to say, hey, let's create something that feels better. And then there are also the new homeowners who are just coming to our region, who have just bought a home in the Monadnock region and are like, what do I have here? Tell me about this.
Things we can do with this.
Yeah, and tell me what's possible. What's reasonable, and how can I have this use less resources, take less time, be more ecologically diverse, and be able to feel better about it. Understand that they can be doing things every day that help our environment as well as their own personal life, and most importantly, the health of themselves and their family.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that you're doing something every day simply by maintaining an environment for the birds and the bees. You don't have to be there for the whole thing. that's simply an ongoing. Yeah, it's an ongoing benefit to our natural world. That's a neat thing.
Right.
And for me, some of it is time management too. It takes a long time to mow a lawn.
Yeah.
I'm consumed by the fact that every house has a little shed with a lawnmower in it. Every house. And we all use it for, a half an hour a week, but everybody's got to have one.
Yeah. Well, Americans manage 40 million acres of personal property in the United States. And northeastern homeowners have the largest average yards. So our yard is our one place where we get to choose how we manage our water, our soil, our plants. We manage our own natural resources within that space, and so it's an exciting way to think more specifically about, hey, wait a minute, do I want to be spending 2 hours every week doing that? What are my options?
Right. Or pay the kid, or pay the guy. Like, people spend, oh my goodness, a lot of money on space that they don't, nothing else happens to it,
Yep.
It's lovely, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be very interested in all of this, and I know you have an event coming up with the Keene Library, is that right?
Yes, Keene Public Library is going to host the first of a 5-part series, the Monadnock Sustainable Yard series. And so they will host on February 19th at 10 a.m. at Heberton Hall, Create a Sustainable Yard. And this will be a public presentation, free. For anyone who's interested, they can show up at Heberton Hall to be in person, or they can attend by Zoom, as we often do nowadays,
Yeah.
to hear in particular 5 ways to have a more manageable home landscape, to save that time and money with water and resources and less pesticides and more ecological diversity. You know, what does it mean to have a native plant in my property? Is there something that doesn't look like a weed, but that is helping the pollinators? What are the factors? So we'll be looking at 5 different aspects to be able to create a more sustainable yard.
That's really neat. Is there an aspect of food in there? We're lazy kitchen gardeners. You know, we put a bunch of stuff outside the door, and we're not super diligent. A lot of stuff comes out of the garden, but
Right. You know, so to be clear, I tend to work with people using vining vegetables because vining vegetables, peas in the spring, cucumbers in the summer, and pumpkins in the fall, they're a great way to have very discrete projects with children of plants that climb, that are much less maintenance intensive than things like tomatoes and even lettuce, and it's not a huge space on the ground. They're containers. And it's a great way for children to be able to watch from a plant go from a seed all the way to something that they can eat. And so for my purposes, we tend to focus on vining vegetables for healthy home habitats.
easy sounds good to me.
Right.
Getting the kids involved sounds good to me. It's
Yeah.
wonderful when we can teach some healthy living and feel good about that.
Absolutely, and the parents want to have a success, right?
Sure,
it's so
yeah.
easy to get excited in the spring and then realize midsummer that you've got this huge endeavor.
The hedge, that's us.
Right, to do, and so it's nice to set especially young families up with something that is reasonable and that they can manage and that everybody can be happy about and joyful about.
Neat. Well, I really look forward to it. Can you remind the folks again when to show up and where for the first part of the
Absolutely.
series?
Keene Public Library. I should say you definitely need to register at the Keene Public Library for February 19th, 10 a.m. Create a Sustainable Yard, and then you will have your choice whether you'd like to come in person to Heberton Hall. It's a nice big airy room, or to attend by Zoom.
Great. And I'm looking forward to it. Full disclosure, I'm going to do the cameras. I'm going to do the front end for that Zoom event and record that for you as
I'm
well.
looking
So,
forward to that.
this should be a lot of fun. So,
Absolutely.
well, thanks so much for joining me on a chunk of the show here. And I will invite you back shortly, I'm sure, but I'm going to see you between now and the event, and we'll hope this goes smoothly. And I appreciate you spending some time here today.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Great. You're welcome. And we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Michelle Chalice with Healthy Home Habitats. Did you know that Americans manage over 40 million acres of turf grass in their yards? And did you also know that yards with less grass and more plants actually help us to address climate change? Come to the Keene Public Library February 19th at 10 a.m. for a fabulous workshop called Create Your Sustainable Yard. You'll discover the 4 ways that you can pretty easily reduce the time, money, and resources that you spend on your landscape all year long and help us address our environmental issues. You'll need to register online or by phone with the Keene Public Library. You can attend in person or by Zoom. We'd love to see you there. Saturday, February 19th at 10 a.m.
Hey friends, I am Dave Kirkpatrick. This is November and Beyond. We've been here before. This is a show, let's see, I haven't done this show in quite a while, and haven't done it from this new location either. I've got a new thing going on today. This is being taped in my new studio. It doesn't even have a name yet for that new. And so, we talk a lot about elections. We talk a lot about making the world a better place. And I bring guests on to hopefully amplify their voices and draw attention to their causes and to bring people out to things and to find the action items where people can actually help and contribute to making things better. So the folks who are joining us today, I have people from Fridays for Future, the climate strike that happens in Jaffrey, and they'll tell you more about it. But it is, of course, about saving the planet, about the climate crisis that we face. And we are, we like to think, about the things that we can fight and the causes that matter to all people. I do, the people I work with, rights and democracy. We try to get away from these issues that are subsets of that keep us fighting and work towards the things that we really ought to be together on, and we really ought to be pulling for as a team here. Healthcare, universal healthcare always comes up. Healthcare for all. Why would we all not want all of our friends and neighbors to be healthy? I can't imagine why. Fair wages and that sort of thing, living conditions, human rights, the things that we think we could all get together on that. The environment and the climate crisis is a huge one. And literally, we if we fix all the other stuff and don't fix this, the rest of it is going to be pointless. This is a pretty big deal. So we are going to talk to the folks from the Fridays for Future, and I'll bring them right now onto the show, and we'll see if we can get a conversation started. Welcome, friends. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Dave.
Why don't you folks introduce yourselves? Megan, maybe you start and tell us who you are and what brought you to Fridays for Future.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Wheeler, and I have lived in Jaffrey my entire life. I just graduated from Roanoke College this past May and have returned back to New Hampshire. Fridays for Future is a really important movement to me. For my entire life, I've always loved being outside, being in nature. I've always loved animals. Some of my favorite hobbies include swimming and being in the water. And, it's been something that's been just prominent my entire life. And it wasn't until this past year that I realized how much humans and our activity on Earth was hurting animals, causing species to go extinct, hurting our planet and our Earth. And it's kind of crazy that for the past 21 years, I never really saw how everything was connected. But then after realizing that everything is connected in different ways, whether it be with social justice and climate justice and racial justice, it's something that you just can't really forget. And honestly, at first, it's a little overwhelming because there's so much information that you want to learn about and so many things that you want to do. But this Fridays for Future group has been so great because it's kind of a group that has been really supportive and also really inspiring because each person has their own story and each person has the same values and morals, especially with caring about the planet. So it's been great to be able to get together on Friday mornings, spread our awareness about the climate, try and get that information out there, try and get more people talking about the climate change and taking climate action. And but also being able to talk with others, whether it be feeling more energetic and hopeful that week, or if you may be feeling more low that week, like people in our group always seem to pick you up and make you feel heard and also help you make a difference in this world.
Yeah, thank you. And it really is nice. It is a pick me up for me too. It's early, sometimes it's cold, it's all those things, but it's a great bunch of people to get with. And how about you, Jerry? How did you discover these folks and join the club here?
Jerry Burns. I just retired as a professor of English from Franklin Pierce University. And I guess kind of like Megan, the roots of my involvement here probably go pretty far back. I would say for me, it wasn't all of nature, but one aspect of nature, the weather. I was fascinated by the weather. And when I was a kid, I used to make up my own forecasts and follow the weather and get excited with big storms and that sort of thing. And so I think that's where I sort of come from. The idea that human beings were altering the weather is something that I followed carefully and kind of loved in a way. That was shocking to me. A sense of, kind of like, wow, that just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to begin to act on that in any way. I was involved in a documentary film that an institute at Franklin Pierce put together on climate change. We actually started thinking about the hurricane of '38 and its impact on local history, but we decided, let's try to see if we can understand the lessons of that natural disaster for the situation we're facing now. Sometime after that, I guess I finally came around to thinking that this is the one that I needed to be involved in. A lot of pressing problems, a lot of huge problems that need people to be involved and so on. But this one has a ticking clock on it. There's just not that much time left. So decided I should probably step forward and do something a little more actively. So with a colleague from that earlier institute, I helped to found the Institute for Climate Action at Franklin Pierce, get that rolling, get that off the ground.
Nice. And is there an active group out there at Franklin Pierce? Is there?
Yeah, there is. The Institute for Climate Action is still going strong. We went through the pandemic. We stayed active. I had to do most things remotely, but we kept it going. Now I've retired, but my colleague Catherine Koning, who's actually on sabbatical, is still involved. And the institute, which has joined students, faculty, and staff together, is still doing good work. We've had some successes on campus. Set up a solar array on top of the field house. An EV charging station is going in. So there's been some
stuff going on there. Good. Excellent.
And we've reached out also. We have what we call a road show that has gone around to local groups with a presentation.
Yeah. So what has been the reaction, Megan, I guess from you perhaps? What are you hearing from people about what's been going on there and you're involved?
Been definitely a lot more positive reactions, I would say, than negative reactions, and also curious reactions, which I think is very important because at least with myself, it was one of my best friends, Maddie Springfield, who started this movement in Jaffrey, and she's been a lifelong friend of mine. And so she just reached out to me one day when she first wanted to get it started. And this is when I still didn't really know much about climate change, what was going on, and how our actions are having a role with changing the climate. But I just went out there with her. I believe my sister joined as well, just to support my friend. And from that moment, I just got hooked with wanting to talk about it more, learn about it more, and spread the information to all those around me. And so since then, especially with family members, they've asked a lot more questions. It's been something that they say they think a lot more about how their actions have an impact on the environment. And this was something that they never thought about before. And also with just, you run into someone at the grocery store and they might ask, oh, are you that girl who stands on the corner and stuff like that? And it's good because even if that's just how they recognize you, it starts that conversation and it starts putting thoughts into their head about how their actions have an impact on the planet as well. And I think like Jerry was saying, it's some really depressing and scary topics, thinking about what will happen if we don't take action, but it's only going to get more scary and more overwhelming if we just keep brushing it aside and keep ignoring it. The only way to kind of make it less scary is to actually start talking about it and start acting on it. So I think just by standing out on the corner, we've gotten, I feel, a lot more honks, a lot more waves. You can see people who are going to school every morning because it's right at 8 a.m. So you have both kids who are going to the middle school and high school, as well as kids who are on their way to the elementary school in town. we've actually had, you'll see a couple of students walking past us and talking with us when they're on their way walking to school. And so it's really great to be able to interact with them and to see them get excited to be a part of that action in town. So I would definitely say at first, we got flipped off a few times and got some people doing burnouts past us or whatever it may be. But I'd say the positive reactions outweigh the negative ones for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really great great observation about the conversation starters. That's one of my favorite pieces too, that we just really need to somehow start having these conversations. And usually the awkward ones that you're not so excited about having are probably going to be the more important ones. But a demonstration, a role model, showing kids and showing people that we're out here and we care and it means something. And I hold signs here and there for a variety of purposes, and I get the same reactions here and there. Mostly waves and a few fingers, and you're not quite sure all the honks are friendly, but by and large they are. And I really think it's important. And I keep pointing to that that person dressed as the Statue of Liberty waving outside the tax prep people's office. Somebody puts a dollar value on sign holders. It is absolutely important. It helps get the message out, and everybody can do a little something. That's so important. So you mentioned this was started by Maddie Springfield, and she's great. I know her from, I think, New Hampshire Youth Movement is maybe where I met her initially. And she's been she got this cooking, and this is a terrific thing. Part of the thing that got me into this was understanding that this had started with some young folks getting up and doing some stuff, and I really wanted to support you guys and everything you're doing. And so I actually have a clip that we recorded. I'll take us out with a promo from Maddie that we did over the summer. It's going to feel refreshing. I think it's like short sleeves and sunshine and stuff. So I'll take us out there. But I guess maybe before I let you two go, we're going to swap in a minute, bring on some other guests, and then just talk about what's been going on. Maybe starting with Megan, but for both, like, what are the action items? Kind of a quick summary, like somebody's watching right now, like, what would you like people to do? Something big, something small. What are our action items for folks watching this?
One of my inspirations is Jane Goodall, and one of her biggest messages, I think, is that every day you have an impact on this planet, and it's up to you whether it's going to be a positive impact or a negative impact. So personally, I've been looking at my own actions each day, because it's definitely, to make serious change, we're going to have to change the systems and completely rethink a way of life. Like I said earlier, climate justice, it's not just climate justice, it's related to so many different things, whether it be social justice and social inequalities and those type of things that you're looking at. Or, for example, like in the global south, you have people, for example, in Africa, who are responsible for 3% of the total emissions, yet they're the most vulnerable right now to the climate crisis. And that's in many regions right now who are experiencing extreme weather events related to climate change and are already experiencing droughts, already experiencing flooding. Just kind of recognizing that social justice and also human rights, the idea of human rights, just like, sorry, getting a little brain fart. Just like recognizing that and knowing realizing how it connects to everything, kind of like broadens your idea of different ways that you can help out with the whole entire the movement and the problem. But
yeah, indeed, that we are all a part of this. Like we're all a part of the problem, and we are all a part of the solution as well.
And so like your smaller individual actions, kind of, if they're in line with your morals and your values, then it kind of makes you want to take more action. For example, like my family, I kind of just started recycling in the house and getting everyone on board with recycling. And at first I thought that was going to be really difficult, but it ended up being pretty simple. So next I want to move to like composting with my whole entire family. And then just like little actions, once you see that they are not using plastic, always having reusable bags when you go to the stores, it helps out because it shows you how you can live more sustainable, and how it's not difficult. And it kind of just like every action leads to another one, I think. And then as far as just reaching out to like politicians and local leaders, as well as, you know, the power of consumption too, like whether you're purchasing from companies that have that you know that they are more eco-friendly and they're trying to take the planet into consideration in all their actions. That's definitely something that I've been looking into more. Whenever I make any type of purchases, I really try and look into the company's, you know, values and their whole process. And that has played a big role in what I've been purchasing now as well. So definitely a lot of things. And that's where I think it can get overwhelming, but you just kind of got to focus on what you can do and
Do what you can, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to take a quick break. I think we're a little short on time. We're going to bring in our other guests. So why don't we'll take a look at Maddie's PSA. That'll take us out of here, and we'll do that and come right back.
So we are here every Friday, and it depends on the week, but if you join our Facebook page, Fridays for Future Jaffrey, New Hampshire, you can see our posts. We post photos, we post when we're going to meet here every week. So come join us every Friday to strike for the climate and make this world a better place for everyone.
And welcome back, everybody. Still Dave Kirkpatrick, and this is still November and Beyond. And we are back here talking with folks from Fridays for Future. There's a climate strike event that happens in Jaffrey in the mornings, 8 in the morning most days. And I've been going out and meeting with these people. We have a lot of fun. So let me bring in a couple more guests and we'll talk to some of the folks who make this happen. And there we go. Welcome, Pat and Margie. And I thought I would shirk my responsibilities as a host a little bit and let you folks introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the climate strike. So maybe Margie, if you go first.
I'm Margie from Jaffrey. I know Maddie and Megan from teaching and coaching and just being in town with them. So that's how I started getting involved. But I'm mainly part of Fridays for Future because I really am worried about the effects of climate change. To me, they're very obvious. There's been great temperature changes, wildfire fires, catastrophic storms, and they're just so much more frequent. Difficulties with agriculture and producing food, and then the disproportionate effect on people who aren't causing climate change, but they're getting much more effect of it. There's so much beauty in this world. I want future generations, my grandchildren, my kids, my students, all to be able to be productive and enjoy it as I have. I really believe that we can reverse many of the effects that we see right now. And even though I fiercely believe that, I think that the window of opportunity is closing, and I'm concerned about that. Yeah, and I think that denying climate change or saying that it's too late is a cop-out. We just have to do it. And the other thing is I have taught many, many bright and creative students. I really believe in American ingenuity. I think we can figure this out. I think we're smart. I think we're creative. And I think we can figure out a more sustainable future. Maybe we go out without some things, but I think we can do it and still live comfortable lives and have many generations. So that's my hope.
And that's a really great way to put it too, and a great way to think about it and explain it. Honestly, is you know, we can do this. Of course we can do this. You know, if we're going to talk about American exceptionalism, of course we can do this, and of course we should. And you know, pretending we can't or denying it, it just makes no sense at all. How about you, Pat? Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to the climate strike?
Sure. I'm Pat Martin, and I live in Rindge. I'm a retired electrical engineer and chair of the Rindge Energy Commission since 2009. And I've been very interested in climate and renewable energy, actually, since the first oil embargo back in the 70s when I was a student. So, this is something that I've followed my whole life. But there clearly aren't enough people engaged, enough people being concerned about this. Human beings don't seem to be too good at looking at long-term consequences. We know it from what we do to ourselves in terms of health and everything else. But now, at this moment in time, we need to pull it together. And I started attending the Fridays for Future because I saw an article in the paper and a post on Facebook that Maddie Springfield, I had no idea who she was starting up at Fridays for Future Climate Strike in Jaffrey. And I had recently lost my husband and was kind of disconnected from everything, including climate work. And I saw that and I said, you know what? I should be doing something. And this is something I can do. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to be really smart. All I have to do is hold a sign and try to get people's attention, get them to see that our young people are demanding that we do something before we leave them with a wreck. So I just want to mention, if you're in the Keene area, please go to the website for Clean Energy Team Keene, or I think it may be Keene Clean Energy Team. They have a photo petition going on, asking people to take a picture of themselves with a message, like a small 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with a message about New Hampshire Saves, the weatherization project that the utilities run in the state. All the funding is being threatened by the Public Utilities Commission. So Keene's Clean Energy Team is partnering with several other organizations in the state, including Clean Energy New Hampshire, in a lawsuit. Not that Clean Energy Team is part of the lawsuit, but they're going to support them with the photo petition and with people writing to the Public Utilities Commission. So if you can get involved in that way and call your state legislators, everybody should be calling them and letting them know you're around, and your state senator, and asking them to get the PUC to reverse their decision. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate, again, the everybody can do something, and please do what you can. And you've asked people to, to make some calls, to show up at places. And these are things that just about anybody can do. And I go back and forth between getting angry about people not doing more, but then, really wanting to see a movement like this not alienate people, and then there are people who are just not going to get it. They're not going to participate. They're not going to give up a little bit of their stuff for the betterment of everybody. We know those folks, and they're out there. And more and more, I come back to the do a little something, please and thanks, anything, but also then don't get in our way. The people saying it can't be done should get out of the way of the people doing it. That is not my quote. But the folks who do drive by to say, "What the heck are you folks doing? Wanting to get a job," or like all this junk that we hear from these people, just don't get in our way. So I'm actually as happy about the guy who, does something tiny, just picks up that one little piece of trash, or gets that one thing that's in a paper package rather than a plastic package. If that's the only way that person can contribute, and it's not even the only way they can contribute, but I appreciate that. I don't want to be mad at that person for not showing up to hold signs. I want to thank them for the little parts that they do. Sure, Pat.
I just wanted to chime in that I've been on a journey doing the New Hampshire Saves energy audit at my house and getting it weatherized and then installing heat pumps. And the thing is that, most of the time people talk about like conserving energy, saving energy as being a sacrifice, but actually, it makes economic sense. I figure from
Yeah.
that New Hampshire Saves Energy audit that I had done 10 years ago, that I've purchased 2,000 fewer gallons of oil to heat my home since I did that.
Wow, that's
And
great.
today's dollars, that's $6,500,
Yeah,
in my pocket that wouldn't have been there without the energy audit and the weatherization. I think there's that people will save money, if they can get that first
yeah.
help up through New Hampshire Saves, if they can be pointed in the right direction and given the tools.
Sure. And
We can do this, and it's going to take all of us.
yep. But Pat, you also mentioned something really interesting to me a week or two ago about the cost of new energy. Do you remember that conversation? Could you go into
Right.
that a little bit?
Right. So, the thing is that the energy that you don't use is the most cost-effective energy there is. We were supposed to reduce energy consumption, mostly electricity, by about 2% this year. That's what the utilities were going to do through New Hampshire Saves.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, then they're going to have to come up with 2% more power someplace else, from a new power plant, new pipelines,
And it's
And
much
the-
more expensive than
and
the energy that's
ratepayers-
already there.
right? And ratepayers were all going to have to pay for it. So, energy efficiency is the cheapest megawatt that you can possibly produce, much cheaper even than the renewables, which I love and are cheaper in general than the more
Yeah.
traditional types of power production now. But
Sure.
everybody should be seeing this as a way to more economic independence.
Absolutely. And we're just about out of time. Very briefly, where should people go? What's going on? How to get people involved with us?
You know what? We'd love to see more people show up Friday mornings at 8 o'clock at Rite Aid in Jaffrey, right at the intersection of 101 and 119 and 202.
Absolutely. And bring your coffee, dress in layers.
Yeah.
It's a social hour that we've been starved for, quite frankly, during COVID. It's not that bad outdoors and breeze, and we'll wait till the salt trucks start going by, but we'll see how that works out. Well, thank you both for coming on the show. That is all we have time for. And I'll say goodbye right now, but I hope you'll come back again because there's so much more to talk about on this issue.
Yeah.
So thanks for
Thanks,
joining
Dave.
me today. And thank you folks for joining us. And we'll see you next time on November and beyond.
See you Fridays.